welcome back to my channel, baby. If you are a returning subscriber, then you already know the vibe, but if this is your first time seeing my face, hi, my name is Kimberly. I am a fifth-year medical student and I create faith, medicine and lifestyle based content. If that is something that you're interested in, please do join the family by clicking that subscribe button. So today we are doing a sit down video. I'm in the car because this is where I can get a moment of silence. As you guys know, I'm on my break, my VEC break, and I'm back home. I decided to do a sit down video for you guys, and the first sit down video that we are doing is a medical school reflection. So I am going to be talking about my 5th year experience. I'm going to share with you guys the courses and the rotations I did, my favorite rotations, what I learned, the exams, literally all the tea that you need to know about your 5th year in medical school. So without any further ado, let's get into this video. Like I've said, my name is Kimberly. I am a 5th year medical student. I'm doing medicine in Zambia at Mulungushi University, and at Mulungushi University there are 9 rotations in total that you do in your 5th year, and they are forensics, ENT, which is the ear, nose and throat department, ophthalmology, which has to do with the eyes, dentistry, the teeth. Then there is public health, psychiatry, anesthesia, dermatology, and the last rotation was radiology. Right, I was doing them at Livingston University Teaching Hospital. There are also other hospitals where other students go to. I know that there's Kabwe General Hospital, there's Ndola Teaching Hospital, and Chupata Hospital. So at our university, the students are basically divided into those 4 different hospitals, but the hospital that I was doing my rotations at is Livingston University Teaching Hospital, like I've said. And at Livingston University Teaching Hospital, we were about, I don't want to lie, I would say about 80 students, 80 to 100, somewhere in between students in total that were in 5th year, and we were divided into smaller groups. We were in groups of, I think we were 13 altogether. I think we were like 13 or 12 altogether in my group. It was a good group, I won't lie. I actually made a new friend. I didn't even know we were in the same class for the past 5 years. I made a new friend. We don't literally talk every day, but I struggle to make friends. Like, if you know me, I struggle to make friends. I struggle to like let people in my life. I struggle to trust people. So that's why I literally do not have any friends in school, and I have been in school for 5 years. I only have 2 friends, which is more than enough. I feel like that's sufficient. So I have a new friend, D, and I started talking to other people as well, Melinda. Those were the 2 people in my rotation that I was talking to, but I feel like I definitely formed a bond with Diana, and yeah, I feel like she's my friend. I don't care, girl, like, you are my friend whether you like it or not, because it's so difficult for me to call people my friends. So I trust them with everything. Like, I don't know, we just mash. So my group was okay, it wasn't that deep. I would basically rate my group a solid 5 out of 10, because I don't know, there was too much. Even though we're a small group, there was low-key division in a way, right? And we're only 13, but people were not really on the same page, I would like to say, and there was low-key divisions, not really working together, other people throwing other people under the bus, and I'm just like, hi bo, guys, we are a family. We are a family. What is happening? So I rated it like a 5 out of 10, but the people were so helpful. It was a good rotation. Actually, I don't know why I'm rating it a 5. I'll give my group like a solid 7. Hey, I'll give it like a solid 7, to be honest. Like, yeah, thumbs up. So my first rotation was forensics. That was my first rotation, and I love forensics. Like, if you know me, way before even starting 5th year, I was interested in forensics. Like, I'm always watching those investigations channel, you know, like those ID Extra, where they talk about people dying, the autopsies, what they found at the death scenes, the investigations, the mysteries. That is the kind of things that I watch. Like, literally, I'll literally buy food and binge watch anything mystery, you know, those things like Fatal Attraction, 48 Hours. Like, I love true crime stories. So when it came to forensics, I definitely knew I was going to enjoy it, and I did. But it was like an online rotation because we don't necessarily have a forensics department. I think in forensics, you have to go and work with dead bodies. And that was something I was really not comfortable with, to be honest. I wasn't going to be comfortable with going to the mortuary. But there were times where we were required to go to the mortuary and see how an autopsy is done and stuff. But I never went. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Do I wish I went? No. I was not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with the idea of seeing dead bodies, unfortunately. Like, it just doesn't, like, I'd become disturbed. I remember when the first patient that I once saw die literally disturbed me for like 2 weeks. So I wasn't really excited about that. But the learning part, I love forensics, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. I loved studying it. I even went above and beyond. I watch forensic files. I'm interested in knowing how people died and all those kind of things. And would I specialize in that? I've thought about it, but if I specialize in it, I'll have to touch dead people and cut them and open up and investigate, and I'm not ready for that. I just like the reading part, the theory part. The practical, yeah, I'll leave it for you guys. It's not for me, right? So forensics was a good rotation. It was an online rotation, and we rotated in forensics for like 6 weeks, and then we didn't have an end of rotation test, and basically that was it. And then after forensics, I rotated in surgical subspecialties. Now, surgical subspecialties, you have three. There is ENT, which is ear, nose, and throat department, ophthalmology, and dentistry. ENT for me was so boring. That rotation was boring. Nothing interesting. There's nothing interesting in the ear for me personally. Nothing interesting about the nose. Nothing. Guys, ENT was the most boring. It was boring to study. It was boring to be there. We barely had any patients, and the only procedures we did in ENT was like check the ear and toilet cleaning. That was all we did in ENT. Okay, that was boring. And luckily, surgical subspecialties, the rotation was only 6 weeks long, which is too long because that ENT was boring, guys. I cannot even emphasize. Did I learn anything there? I don't know, bruh. Like, I literally was not interested. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat. Guys, like, on to the next, guys. There's literally nothing I can say about ENT. For ophthalmology is very interesting for me. It actually created this curiosity in me, and I literally was like, okay, wait, you know what? I think I can specialize in this. I think I can become an ophthalmologist. So ophthalmology was that rotation for me where I literally thought of, okay, wait, I think I can do this for the rest of my life. It was definitely new, seeing the eye, which is so crazy because you see the eye and you feel like there's nothing much to it, but there was a lot. Like, I was so fascinated when I was seeing conditions like glaucoma, because I used to see them, and usually I would see them on an old person, a woman, and people always told me that, as a kid, those superstitions that, oh no, if an old lady has an eye like that, whereby they don't have, I can't describe glaucoma, but like, I'll probably put a picture, and they would always say that means she's a witch. Those superstitions. So I was low-key kind of afraid of people with that thing in the eye, and it's just glaucoma, guys. It's not that deep. It's really not that deep. So learning about that was definitely interesting. There are a lot of conditions in the eye. I wasn't aware. I thought the eye was so simple. Like, it's all about seeing. Like, it's either you can see or you can't see. Like, it's not that deep. It's the eye. But I actually realized there's more to the eye. There were so many conditions. Of all the surgical subspecialties, for me, ophthalmology was the most interesting. Then after that, I went to dentistry. It was the most fun, not interesting. I feel like dentistry for me was also boring. It wasn't interesting for me, right? We're looking at the teeth conditions and did a couple of procedures. I had a lot of fun. Like, I didn't realize like, a lot goes on in the mouth. Hey, guys, like, look after your mouths. Like, look after your mouths. Like, I also learned just by looking at the lips of a person, you can tell whether they have certain sexual transmitted infections or not. So, guys, like, and this is me now. Whenever I'm in the streets, I'm just looking at people's mouth, like, suspect number 1. I'm joking. Kajal, I'm joking. Yo, I'm joking, guys. I don't diagnose people in the streets. Sometimes I don't. It was the rotation that we had our first end of rotation test, and I failed. That was the rotation I failed. But I'm actually happy that I failed dentistry because it was a wake-up call. It really was a wake-up call because I think people were just like, no, 5th year is easy, you know, it's not as hard as 4th year. And I think that was getting to my head low-key, and I ended up failing that rotation. I failed that rotation. I got the lowest mark in my group. I got 35%, which was very, very low. And I was very disappointed. I remember I went home and I cried. But ozenzele akakhalelwa. We all know that. Like, it was my fault. It was definitely my fault. I didn't take it seriously. I didn't dedicate myself. I wasn't studying. There's literally no one to blame for me failing the rotation. And I literally just couldn't accept that mark. I refused to accept that mark. And I was like, I am going to humble myself. I'm going to swallow my pride, and I'm going to go to the head of grade and ask if I can get a makeup, right? Luckily, I wasn't the only one because our group, we were the first one to write the end of rotation test. And we went as a group. We asked for a makeup, and then they were like, okay, we can't give you a makeup. If you want a makeup, you have to like redo the entire rotation. And then, you understand? So yeah, we agreed to those terms. We had to redo the rotation. We rotated because there was a period where we were supposed to have a break. So instead of us having a break, we decided that we were going to go back to dentistry and rotate again. And luckily I passed, and I even became the highest in my group among the ones that wrote, you know. And I was very proud of myself because that showed but I really wasn't serious. I wasn't taking, so I needed to fail, because if I didn't fail, I was going to continue to have that mentality of, no, 5th year is easier than 4th year, and it was making me a bit relaxed. So yeah, I ended up passing the rotation. I think low-key my highest mark, because even my continuous assessment, because your CA is 40 and your exam is 60, and I got like 37 out of 40. Imagine. So I was very proud of myself. I was really, really proud of myself. I really studied, especially after failing. I knew that anything is possible. So that was really, really an eye-opener. And then after dentistry, we went to psychiatry. The things I saw in psychiatry, guys, I saw people eating their own feces. Like they're mentally disturbed. And it was so crazy. I feel like psychiatry was so interesting. And psychiatry was so eye-opening for me, because I genuinely could not understand. There were patients that would come to the hospital, right? And then the parents would literally say that last week this person was going to school and he was okay. Now they are bringing him as a patient. Guys, he's eating his own feces. He's chasing people. He's running around naked. But just last week, he was okay. I definitely couldn't believe it. And I will confess to you guys, being African, I was like, there's witchcraft involved. Literally, I literally say that. I was like, there's no way. Bamloyile. There's absolutely no way whereby you were okay last week. Now you are picking up papers. You're running around naked. Last week. Like, that is so fast. Like, I get maybe if it started like it was progressing and it reached this point. But that switch for me, I literally was like, no, this is witchcraft. I swear, like, most of the things that I saw in psychiatry, I genuinely couldn't believe it. I literally thought that witchcraft was involved. I am not even gonna lie to you guys. Even when I was telling my mom and I was telling my friends, like, back here, and they were like, "Hi, Kimbaluna manga, there's no way." And that really opened my eyes to see that we don't really know much about mental illnesses. You know, I feel like mental health is a department that is also neglected in the hospital, because when we were rotating there, they are also understaffed. They don't have resources. There were barely any beds. I didn't like how the beds were. I really didn't like guys, it was just poor. It was heartbreaking to see people living in those conditions as well. It was smelling like urine. outside is smelling like feces, because some of the people that are locked there, because this is psychiatry department, right? These are people that are not like mentally okay, you know, it's a mental illness, and some of them are so far gone that they are, like I said, some people are eating their own feces, you know, they're not okay, they're just urinating and stuff. And I feel like even though these patients are psychiatric patients, they shouldn't be staying in a place like that. I feel like in a way it's a neglected department, because regardless of them saying, and I did talk to the person who's in charge, and I was having a conversation with him, and he was like, you know, we do clean also, and we also request for certain things to be sent, but obviously because it's psychiatry, they sort of think now, even if we fix, the people are gonna break, because it's literally the patients that break things there. Like the doors are broken, it's the patients that broke them. I remember there was a ceiling, the ceiling where we were having ward rounds was literally, there was a hole, and it was broken by a patient. The patient was trying to escape from isolation, like critical patients that are very, very violent, they are put in an isolation. And so apparently there was a patient who was trying to like escape, and that patient literally broke the roof trying to escape. That is so crazy, guys. So I feel like it's neglected, not only in health, not only in the hospital, it's also neglected outside the society. I feel like people only talk about depression, but people hardly talk about schizophrenia. It was my first time dealing with schizophrenic patients, which was so crazy because I had never ever seen a black person with schizophrenia. I've only heard it in movies. So I thought like this is a white person's disease, which is what most typical people in a black society think. They think that it's a white person's disease. Even depression, some people that are ignorant still refer to depression as a white man's disease. So for me it was like, whoa, we have schizophrenic patients here, people with bipolar. That was so eye-opening, and I feel like so much awareness needs to be raised in the community, because a lot of things that I learned, I realized that there were so many other people that I knew of in the community, my community, that were misdiagnosed, people that were treated like they are slow learners or whatever. But your child probably has a learning disability, you know, and your child needs to be diagnosed, receive the right meds so they can be okay. You know, so many people are just walking around being called names and being bullied when they have a mental or a psychiatric condition, but they are not diagnosed, so they don't know. They literally don't know. You understand? So psychiatry was definitely eye-opening. I'm definitely considering doing certain things in psychiatry. I would say it was literally my favorite rotation. I'm not gonna lie, psychiatry was my favorite rotation. Learning about mental health, learning about other conditions, not just depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, autism, learning disabilities in kids, ADHD, how to see if your child has a learning disability. That was very, very interesting to me, and in the future I'm definitely going to try to do some work in that area. And then after psychiatry, it was public health. Public health was also a 6-week rotation. Each rotation was 6 weeks, right? So public health, there was nothing much. It was more or less like an online rotation, because there's no department to rotate in. So I was just basically working on my research. And the research that I decided to do in 5th year, I did a research on schizophrenic patients, and I'm really proud of that research. I hope that my paper gets published. We are currently in the process of working towards that. I want my paper on schizophrenia to get published. I feel like I'm contributing to something, and public health is definitely something that I'm looking, heading towards the direction of public health. I'm interested in that field. I want to be a public health expert. So for me, I was really focused on public health, guys. I gave my all in the tests. I gave my all in my research. I literally put everything that I could, and I literally decided that the research that I'm going to do is something that I want to put on my CV. That's why I literally decided to do a research on schizophrenia, because schizophrenia, not much has been done when it comes to Africa, and more or less the place where I was doing my research in Zambia, Livingston, people really haven't like researched and looked into schizophrenia as a disease in Africa, especially Southern Africa, and I wanted to contribute to that. So yeah, I enjoyed public health. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoyed doing my research. I enjoyed the topic that I was researching on, and I hope my paper gets published. Yeah. And then the last rotation that I did, which is basically under medical subspecialties, the first one was dermatology. Before going to dermatology, right, I thought that in the future I would like to specialize in dermatology. But now that I've rotated in dermatology, I don't know. I don't think I can do it. I'm being honest with you guys. I don't think I can do dermatology. It's not what I thought it was, guys. I wasn't expecting that many conditions, that many diseases. It's a bit hands-on, especially when I saw what, yo, guys, be safe out there, hey. So yeah, dermatology was interesting. It was very interesting, especially when I was learning about like the face. When it came to the face, I loved every part of it, like acne, different types of acne, what you use for acne, eczema, vitiligo. That was so interesting to learn about. I definitely enjoyed it. But when it came to certain skin conditions that were very, very aggressive, I don't know if I will be able to do those ones as well. But we'll see as time goes. But dermatology for me, I'll probably rate it like an 8 out of 10. That's how much like I genuinely enjoyed learning about dermatology. Yeah, literally. And the lecturer is funny. He's funny. He's a funny guy. He's a funny guy. So he made it more interesting. He made dermatology very interesting, I'm not gonna lie. And he literally evoked that curiosity of, whoa, I think I can do this for the rest of my life, right? And then my last rotation was radiology. Oh, radiology for me was, we don't really have a lot of diagnostic tools in the hospital where I'm rotating in. So there wasn't really much I could say, but it was interesting or was it boring? You understand? Because all we did was there was an x-ray, right? Working with an x-ray and the CT scan machine and the ultrasound. Those were the only three machines that we worked with and we saw. We learned how to use an ultrasound, we learned how to use an x-ray and the CT scan. So for me it wasn't really interesting. There wasn't really anything that was like, whoa, okay, you understand? So it was a bit boring. But I also feel like it's because the hospital where we are, we are not necessarily equipped like other hospitals or other hospitals in developed countries. So there wasn't really much. I really had high expectations for radiology because it's a field that I've thought of specializing in. I have thought of becoming a specialist in radiology. I feel like it's a very interesting field, imaging, finding out what is wrong with patient, visualizing it. I feel like it's an interesting field. My expectations were so high, I definitely was very disappointed. But when it comes to the learning part, the work wasn't really difficult, guys, I'm not gonna lie. But the part where I struggled in radiology, it was when it came to the brain. I don't know, I'm always struggling with the brain. From physiology, I struggled with the brain, like neurology. Pathology, I struggled with the brain. And radiology, I struggled with the brain. Like when it came to the CT scans, and it came in our exam, couldn't see anything, hey? Yeah, radiology, like we'll literally do an ultrasound, eh? And then there's an ultrasound and then they're saying, oh, this is the ultrasound of the baby. I'm looking at the ultrasound pictures and then the technician, right, he's telling me, can you see the hands, can you see the face, can you see? Guys, I can't see anything on the ultrasound. I cannot. Even when it comes to x-rays, guys, there's an x-ray there, they're saying, but there's pneumonia, there's what, there's what. I'm seeing a bit, but anything else I can't see. Like, guys, when it came to imaging, I definitely was struggling. I was struggling to read an x-ray and I'm still struggling to read x-rays. I feel like I need to dedicate myself and use this time to work on that. But currently I'm studying internal medicine, preparing for final year. By the grace of God, I'll pass. So I really need to learn how to read an x-ray. I struggle to read an x-ray. Like, you can tell me that, can you see that? I can't see. It's worse when it comes to an ultrasound, guys. I can't even see that this is the liver. I'm looking at the ultrasound, they're telling me no, that's the liver. I can't see. So radiology just depressed me because I couldn't see anything. So I definitely need to work on that. I need to dedicate myself and do maybe extra courses where I'm taught how to read an x-ray, how to read a CT scan, how to read an ultrasound, because that's very, very important for you as a doctor. What kind of doctor are you going to be if you can't even read an ultrasound? You understand? So I definitely need to work on that. Currently, I'm also watching videos on the ECG because I was struggling with the ECG, but I think I'm getting better. So once I'm done with the ECG, I need to dedicate myself into going deep and learning how to read even the basic things, how to read an x-ray, how to read an ultrasound, because I realized those are areas that I was really struggling in. And that was my last rotation, guys. So now I'm just gonna tell you guys what my favorite rotation was. My favorite rotation, like I've already said, was psychiatry and public health. Those were my two favorite rotations, and I think in the future, expect anything from these two departments of me. Like, just expect anything. They were very interesting to me, interesting to learn, interesting to be there. It's something that I think I'm not really at the point where I can say I'm passionate about public health or I'm passionate about mental health, but I hope I can reach that point because I'm definitely really looking into those two departments. And I would also put another department I'd put there was ophthalmology. Like, I feel like I can be like a surgeon of the eye. I can be like a specialist in that department. So yeah, that was very interesting for me. And then when it came to my exams were okay. The exams were okay. I can't complain. But the exams that I think were difficult for me, number one was the anesthesia exam. I wasn't adequately prepared because I fell asleep. Like, I told myself I was going to wake up and study, but I didn't wake up. And the topic that I told myself I was going to wake up and do was what I found in the exam. So, only God knows how we did in that exam. Secondly, I would say psychiatry for me didn't go as well as I would have wanted it to go. Yeah, I will touch 50%, but I'm not gonna get the result that I wanted to get because I think I was aiming for an A in psychiatry. I'm not gonna get that. I'm far from that. And then the third hardest exam I would say was ENT. ENT, I knew absolutely nothing, guys. From the essay question to the scenario question, I was just guessing through. I'm not lying, guys. I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. I was guessing throughout that paper. I'm actually still touched now that I think about it. Like, I took it personal, hey, because I genuinely studied ENT, hey, but I wasn't able to answer those questions. That paper felt like it was a punishment. Like, I don't know, that paper felt like he was punishing us for something. Your ENT, I knew nothing, guys. But yeah, that was basically my medical school reflection of fifth year. That was how my fifth year of medical school went. I'm currently at home. I'm waiting for my results to find out whether I'm going to be going to final year. And by God's grace, hopefully, guys, I am going to be going to final year. Please wish me good luck in the comment section if you've reached this part of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.